So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My counterpart has left the thing, so I think the onus lies on me
You're
to
doing a
cover,
walkover.
not really a walkover, to cover both sides, right? So counseling is a very purposeful conversation. And why do we need an eye care really is because we need to increase the awareness of patients. We need to increase the compliance towards the medicines and follow-ups. We need to truly market our services and products. So many new things are coming up. And patients need to understand that doctors are not gods. They are not devils. They are human beings. So for all that, counseling is a very essential part. And I feel because of this, not good counseling is exactly the today's malady of a huge doctor-patient disconnect. So we aim at converting patients who are non-acceptors of treatment to acceptors. Compliance, as I already talked about, those who need health care should be able to approach us. They should not fear us. The fee will be so much, the doctor will be awful, things like that, because we don't talk to them properly, really. And most of all, we should ensure that they will be able to do what they're advised. The lady with the hands below cannot put eye drops in her eyes if we tell her to do it independently. So truly speaking, I'm supposed to speak about why not, but I'll be covering a little bit of both. So why do we really need counseling? We have patients from all walks of life. There are different educational status, economic status, the age segments is different, and services where they need now are so many, we have so much to offer. They need to understand clearly as to what is going to be done on their eyes. And what are we going to do exactly on their eyes? If they don't do it, what will happen? If we do it, what will be the impact? And therefore, without fear or without tension, we need to really reciprocate that this is going to really help you. So therefore, this will help them make a sound decision about their health, and that way they'll become your partners and not really, again, win-lose. There will be win-win both sides. So why the question comes that don't do, why are people fearing it? Because truly, many of us don't know how to counsel properly. Many of us don't teach how to counsel. And therefore, not knowing what a resident is going to do, the fear of unknown is what kills us, and that's why we feel we should not be doing. So why these fears come up? Many times you hear a resident dismissing patients' worries. Patient says, I have glaucoma, I've been told there's a disc hemorrhage, what will happen to me? Oh, you will be all right, you're being taken care of well. That's really not so. We got to tell them, look, this is the chance of your disease progressing, not progressing or static, and to this level we will be able to help you. But this can be beyond our hands as well. So therefore, the moment is realistic, patient learns to believe you. Coming to provide false, inappropriate, and premature assurance. This patient is a third time operated lacrimal gland tumor. Patient is asking, is my tumor gone? He's third time operated. He's concerned, is my eye really is going to, like the tumor is fully gone or it will come back because come third time. The resident said, no, your doctor is very competent. Nothing will happen, it will be fine. Instead, if a resident would tell that most probably is gone, but suppose a little bit is left behind, it can be taken out again if it's not malignant. And if it's malignant, then we have other ways to treat it. So we will treat and we will keep you informed as the time goes by. Don't worry that much, right? Then leave the patient stranded. Young married girl has uveitis. She's worried she'll go blind. She's worried that she will be left because of this disease. She also has certain amount of back pain. Now, instead of telling the lady what she should do, go explain to your family that you've got uveitis and you've got arthritis. The simple thing is get somebody responsible from home, get somebody who cares for you, and explain to the patient that it's not her fault really. It is something which is innate, she cannot help it. It's a treatable disease, right? So that way, we have a very good connect. Then coming to residents offer generalization. As soon as the patient tells his fears, a patient says, I am a myopic, I have to get cataract surgery done. Myopes get more detachment following myopia itself, and now cataract surgery, will I go blind? It's true, it's not really untrue, but tell, no, nothing will happen, my patients don't develop. It won't really help. Telling that we will screen you before cataract surgery, after cataract surgery, and before the detachment occurs, there are certain things happen. We treat them and you will not have the problem of detachment. And even if you land up having it, worst case scenario, it's a treatable disease in time, so therefore we'll keep a watch on you and we'll be with you. Pass the buck. It's not my responsibility really, somebody else will see it. My eyes feel tired all the time. Now, go get the refraction done. There are 101 causes of you feeling tired, doesn't matter. The simple thing would be get the refraction done, look at the eyes. This patient whom I'm talking about was severely anemic. She was just like falling all over the place, just opening the lower lid and seeing the conjunctiva pale would have done the needful. But this is how the counseling works badly. Then we are very focused on physical clues. We will see OCT, visual fields, everything, everything. We don't look at the emotions of the patient. So what really kills patients most of the times is their emotions more than the disease. My eyes feel irritable and painful. What can happen to me? Now, simple thing is if you look at this picture, these eyes will feel painful and irritable. What you're seeing is really the cornea is also getting affected. It's a severe dry eye. This patient is a keratoconjunctivitis sicca. So just a few more symptoms that are you having difficulty in swallowing or something like that, or it's, other things are painful. The moment you treat this KCS, this eye will be automatically more comfortable. Then immediate automatic response to query without even thinking second time as to what patient is feeling. Doctor, patient, I have a headache. Get the refraction done, get the muscle orthoptic checkup done. If that is well, it's all right. Men see fundus, the patient has got a brain tumor. So how can we do it? We need to have excellent communication skills because they need to make us competent and self-assurance in our own skills. They help our diagnostic abilities. They enhance patient's compliance. They increase satisfaction, reduce anxiety, and reduce the cost because patient doesn't need to come so many times. Worried patient comes 10 times more than normal patients. Then we can have lots of data, and this data can help us in making our clinical decisions, also making some beautiful research, and these are multiple ways that ask the patient, assist the patient, and then summarize. And what my teacher told me in MBBS, I would never forget, is there anything I have left that I have not asked you, will you please tell me? This is what was teaching in our time, and that's what we talked. Then supportive reduction, tension reduction skills are very important. I will reiterate appropriate touch because this is becoming a huge problem. Doctor, touch me here, there, and everywhere. So appropriate touch, moderate rate of speech, express lots of optimism that you're interested in the patient, and keep reviewing the progress. This makes your patient perfectly yours. And then we need to be really perceptive, and that gives them insight into their own problem that my doctor understands. They get more motivated. If we pay attention, they really follow the treatment, and then once they follow the treatment, then your treatment is more effective. So look at the thing that there is something for us in it, and then finally, we use the directive skills, and we provide them information, we give them suggestion, and we make them resolve their problems. So that way, we are making more competent citizens in this country who are worried and who take care of their health, this thing without anxiety. But all this we should not do in an open OPD with 100 patients around. A conducive environment, we approach with sympathy and conviction. Make the patient be at your level, not that Baba main God hu, tum wahan baithega. Not like that. Same level, speak well, be well dressed. That makes a lot of impression. And then verbal, if there's nothing you need to greet, don't need to have say namaste every time. A simple thing, Baba, how are you? Or whatever the word that person uses. Then we should repeat, and suppose you're not knowing what the next questions to ask, just repeat last 3 words, the patient will expand. And finally, the active listening is a very important part. Even so many patients have just problem if you listen to them and they are done. So with that, I will conclude that we need to learn right ways ourselves and practice time, practice and make the residents practice. We should voluntarily teach them, insert this in curriculum, and make them do it on peers. Till such time this doesn't happen, I think it may not be very safe to just leave them in the open ground to counsel. Thank you so much.